Good morning.
Good
I'm
morning.
Reverend Marianne Kelley, and I'll be your speaker today. Our reading comes from the 365 Days of Richer Living, Daily Inspiration by Ernest Holmes and Raymond Charles Barker. For today, I affirm my own divinity. I accept a divine purpose in my life. Intelligence brought me forth at the right time to do the right work in these present days. This is my right generation, and around me are my people. I do not regret the past, nor do I postpone the future. I see now as the only time, and this day is my only opportunity to release God into my world through right thinking and living. These present hours are my tools of divinity. My thinking is in accord with the mind of God. My actions are in accord with the divine plan of my life. I radiate love, live in peace, and think God thoughts. I fulfill my destiny and be what God created me to be. So we say thank you, Ernie, and thank you, Raymond. And so today, we're going to be talking about our gratitude for the Christ Enlightenment. Christ Enlightenment. You know, we're in the holy season right now. And we're in the holy season. We have just celebrated solstice, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and I'm sure other special holy days for other traditions. I know that they're there. What they all seem to have in common is celebrating light. Celebrating light. Light, enlightenment, holy light. We might say Christ light. Isn't it interesting that all of these wonderful celebrations come in the month of December? It's the longest month, and it's they have the darkest days. But once we hit the solstice, we begin to come back to the light. Isn't that interesting? So what is Christ enlightenment? For me, it is the divine intelligence which created me in this human form in order to express itself in this realm of this earthly existence and to evolve in understanding and in creativity. So I am put here to express the God nature that is within me, to gain greater understanding and creativity. We recognize that birth and life and the miracles of Jesus the Christ are Spirit's way of showing itself to us and living through humanity. Living through humanity. Jesus tells us that I and my Father are one. I and my Father are one. He says that I am the way and the truth and the life. That's from John 14:6. And you may know me. If you had known me, you would have known my Father also. And from now on, you know him and have seen him. Jesus says this to his disciples. And Philip says to him, Lord, show us the Father, and that is sufficient for us. And Jesus said to him, I have been with you so long, yet you still have not known me, Philip. And he who has seen me has seen the Father. So how can you say, show us the Father? Do you not believe me that I am in the Father and the Father in me? The words I speak to you, I do not speak on my own authority. For the Father who dwells in me does the works. The Father who dwells in me does the works. Believe me that I am in the Father and the Father in me, or else believe me for the sake of the works themselves. And so, then we go to the answered prayer. Most assuredly I say to you, he who believes in me, the works that I do, he will do also. And greater works than these will he do. Because I go to my Father. And whatever you ask in my name, that is in my nature, or in the manner that I do, that I will do through you. That the Father may be glorified in the Son, that is in humanity. If you ask anything in my name, I will do it. In other words, the Christ within us. Whatever we ask in the nature that Jesus asked, with our brother and our way shower, then that's what will come about. And so what is the nature in which Jesus healed? What is that nature? Well, we have 7 signs of the works that he did. The first one was a changing of water into wine at Cana. This is the first sign. And Jesus instructed the servants, fill the water pots with water. And when they were up to the brim, he said to them, draw out now some and take it to the master of the feast. And when the master of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine, and did not know from where it came, but the servant who brought it knew from where it came. Well, you see, he didn't know where it came from, but Jesus knew. Went from water to wine. And the second one was the healing of the official's son in Capernaum. So the man believed the word that Jesus spoke to him, and he went away. And when he was going down, his servant met him, saying, your son lives. And these are the words that Jesus had spoken to him in John 4:46-54. And the third healing was the paralytic at Bethesda. And in those times, after these things, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there in Jerusalem was a sheep gate, a pool, which is called in Hebrew Bethesda, having 5 porches. And there were sick people on these porches, and they were blind, and some were withered, and had various kinds of things going on. And what would happen is they were waiting for the movement of the waters. And an angel of the Lord went down at a certain season into the pool and troubled the waters, riled them up. And then the first one who stepped into the pool after that was healed. And there was a certain man there, and he was there, he had been there for 38 years in his infirmity. And Jesus saw him lying there, and knew that he had been there for the whole time. In that case, he said unto him, wouldst thou be made whole? And the sick man said, Sir, I have no man when water is troubled to put me in the pool. But when I am coming, another steps in front of me and gets the cure. And Jesus said to him, Arise, take up your bed and walk. And straightway the man was made whole. He took up his bed and he walked. And that's in John 5:1-15. And the fourth one was the feeding of the 500. And this was Jesus made the people sit down. And he took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to the disciples, and the disciples to those sitting on the ground. And likewise the fish, as much as they wanted. And so they were filled, and he said to his disciples, Gather up the fragments that remain, so that nothing is lost. And so the fifth miracle that he performed, when the evening came, he went down to the lake, his disciples did. And when they got into the boat, they set off across the lake for Capernaum. Now it was dark, and Jesus had not yet joined them. A strong wind was blowing on the waters, and the waters grew rough. And when they were about to row about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus approaching the boat, walking on the water. And they were frightened. But he said to them, It is I, do not be afraid. Then they were willing to take him in the boat, and immediately the boat reached the shore where they were heading. And that's in John 6:16 through the 21st. And the 6th healing that he did was that of the blind man who was blind from birth. He told him to go wash his eyes in the pool of Siloam. And Siloam means to take away and to deny any false ideas, any false thoughts. So when he did that, he was able to see. And the 7th miracle that he performed was the raising of Lazarus. And he said to Lazarus, Lazarus, come forth. And he did. Now, in every one of these miracles that he performed, and if you want to read more about them, you can go to these places. Lazarus is found in John 11:45. And each one of those could be a talk unto themselves. But for the purposes of today, for the purposes of our gratitude in Christ's enlightenment, these are things that Jesus tells us that he did, that we shall do even greater things. And in every one of these miracles, Jesus spoke the word, giving them something to do, speaking the word, and each one was believing and was healed. So it is with us. We speak our word in prayer, and then we do as we are guided to do. And where do we get this guidance? Where do we get this enlightenment? We get it by going within. In our meditations, we get our connection with our own divine Christ consciousness. The Christ consciousness is the consciousness within us that was also in Christ Jesus. So, that is our Christ enlightenment. And we get that throughout the day, throughout our dreams. We get it in many different ways. But we speak our word, and then we listen for the guidance, and we follow that guidance, that Christ enlightenment. So in his booklet, there's a booklet that's put out by the Brotherhood of the Followers of the Present Jesus, and in this one it says, Jesus is here. And it says, the long-awaited coming of Jesus is at hand. The promise made, the prophecies of the Bible are being fulfilled. Jesus stands among us at this very time as a human being, fulfilling a purpose so quiet yet so all-reaching that it may be difficult to believe. He comes not on a cloud with wings and white robes. Such a coming would only humble humanity more. But he is here as an equal, to proclaim the truth that the time has come for every person to be a Christ. Every person to be a Christ. To take their inheritances of the Christ consciousness. He comes to be a brother of humanity. Jesus is here, oh mankind, oh humanity. He is in your midst again. He has come to teach. So now, this past solstice, we entered into the age of Aquarius finally. And what is the age of Aquarius? It's a time of change of consciousness. A time to plant seeds and to start speaking our word. Speaking our word. Visualize what we want and who we want to become. Visualize. We do our meditation. We speak our word. We visualize and follow that vision. Following that Christ enlightenment as it comes to us. Always remembering to give thanks for this connection that we have made with our own Christ nature and the power of our word to do the work of our own inner Christ by seeing through the eyes of the Christ, by speaking with the voice of the Christ, and by taking the actions of the Christ. And this is how we do it. We are in our gratitude for the Christ enlightenment when we say, thank you, wonderful God, in me, and thank you, wonderful God, in you, in all of us. And so it is. And so let it be. Amen.